You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you care about too many things that were never meant to matter this much. The moment you wake up, before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already racing, thinking about people, replaying conversations, worrying about what might go wrong, carrying expectations that haven't even happened yet. And slowly, without noticing, your peace slips away before your day even begins. It feels like you're being responsible, like you're staying prepared, but in reality, you're carrying an invisible weight that keeps growing heavier with every thought you hold on to. Every opinion, every possibility, every small detail, you treat it all as if it deserves your full attention. And that's what drains you. But what if the problem isn't your life at all? What if life isn't as overwhelming as it feels? What if the real reason you feel exhausted is because you're holding on to things you were never meant to carry in the first place? Because the truth is simple, but hard to accept. Not everything deserves your energy. And the moment you begin to see that, everything inside you starts to change. Lesson 1. Your mind is addicted to problems. Your mind has a strange habit of creating problems even when nothing is actually wrong. From the moment you wake up to the moment you lie down, it finds reasons to worry, imagine disasters, and rehearse scenarios that may never happen. You might notice yourself stressing over a conversation you had yesterday, anticipating a meeting that hasn't arrived yet, or thinking about how someone might judge you. And all of this happens automatically, almost without your awareness. The mind convinces you that by thinking, planning, and controlling, you are protecting yourself. But in truth, this endless mental activity often does nothing but steal your energy and peace. Overthinking gives the illusion of control. It tricks you into believing that by running every scenario, by analyzing every detail, you can prevent problems, avoid mistakes, or prepare perfectly for life. But the irony is that most of what you worry about never occurs. The constant chatter in your head creates tension in your body, fatigue in your muscles, and a cloud over your emotions. You feel mentally exhausted, even though outwardly everything might seem normal. The mind clings to problems as if it needs them to stay busy, but this busyness is deceptive. It is not productive. It is not protective. It is draining. Not every thought deserves your attention. Some thoughts are useful, guiding you through action or insight, but many are simply noise. They are recycled fears, imagined losses, or projections that never materialize. Learning to distinguish between what deserves focus and what does not is the first step toward freedom. When you observe your thoughts, you start to notice patterns. You realize that your mind has been addicted to creating problems, and that addiction is optional. By consciously choosing where to place your attention, you break the cycle of mental exhaustion. The more you become aware of this addiction, the more power you regain over your own mind. You can start to release unnecessary tension, save energy for what truly matters, and experience life with clarity and calm. Understanding that your mind does not need to generate constant problems allows you to finally step back, breathe, and exist in a lighter, more peaceful state. Lesson 2. Control is the hidden source of stress. Trying to control everything in your life may feel like the responsible thing to do, but it is one of the biggest sources of hidden stress. The more you grip, the more anxious you become. Every plan, every expectation, every attempt to force outcomes into a shape you like creates tension in your mind and body. Life, by its very nature, refuses to follow scripts. No matter how carefully you organize, no matter how many contingencies you prepare for, unexpected events will always appear. When you resist them, when you fight against what is, suffering arises, not from reality itself, but from your refusal to accept it. Trying to control life is like tightening your grip on sand. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. You think that by holding on tightly, You can prevent loss or maintain stability, but the more force you apply, the more you exhaust yourself, and the more life escapes your grasp. It is an endless cycle of tension, frustration, and fatigue. You might feel productive in your efforts, but often you are only exhausting yourself mentally and emotionally, while reality continues to move in its own rhythm. The moment you begin to loosen your grip, even slightly, you experience a profound shift. You stop treating every outcome as if it depends entirely on your control. You allow life to flow, to unfold naturally, and in that space, your mind finds relief. Suffering decreases not because life has changed, but because your relationship to it has. Accepting that some things are beyond your control does not mean giving up or becoming careless. It means choosing your energy wisely, focusing on what you can influence, and letting go of what you cannot. This lesson is about understanding the hidden mechanics of stress. It is not life that overwhelms you, it is your desire to command it at every moment. By recognizing this, you gain freedom. You stop forcing situations, stop wrestling with outcomes, and stop exhausting yourself unnecessarily. Life does not need to be controlled to be lived fully. When you loosen your grip, you allow yourself to move through it with calm, clarity, and confidence, and in that space, true peace emerges. Lesson 3. You're carrying what isn't yours. One of the quietest, yet heaviest burdens we carry is the weight of what never belonged to us in the first place. From the moment you wake up, your mind is already taking on the moods, opinions, and expectations of everyone around you. A passing comment, a judgment, a look of disapproval, it all lands in your mental space, and without realizing it, you begin to absorb it as if it defines you. Slowly, imperceptibly, these borrowed emotions pile up, adding tension to your mind and body, clouding your thoughts and shaping your reactions. You are carrying a weight that was never yours to bear, and that is exactly what drains your peace. Not everything you feel belongs to you. Every irritation, criticism, or anxiety that comes from someone else is theirs, not yours. Yet, most of us take it personally, replay it endlessly, and allow it to shape our day. We try to fix it, respond to it, or carry it with us like a badge of responsibility, thinking that by doing so, we are being thoughtful, kind, or vigilant. But the truth is, absorbing these external energies only steals your focus, your energy, and your calm. You are giving life to problems you never created and never had the power to control. The key to inner freedom is learning to discern. You must recognize what is yours to handle and what is not. When someone speaks in anger, their anger is about them, not you. When someone criticizes or judges, it reflects their perspective, not your value. You cannot control how others think, feel, or behave, but you can choose what enters your inner world. Protecting your mind does not mean shutting down love or empathy. It means creating boundaries that allow you to respond wisely instead of reacting unconsciously. When you stop carrying what isn't yours, a remarkable transformation begins. The mind unclenches. The chest feels lighter. The days feel less exhausting. Space opens for clarity, presence, and energy that truly belongs to you. In that space, life becomes lighter, more manageable, and more joyful, not because the world has changed, but because you have stopped carrying the unnecessary weight of other people's emotions. Lesson 4. Caring less doesn't mean caring less about life. Many people hear the idea of caring less and immediately assume it means becoming indifferent, cold, or detached from life entirely. They picture someone who doesn't love, doesn't try, doesn't engage. But this is a misconception. True caring less is not about abandoning life or closing your heart. It is about changing the way you give your energy, shifting your focus from what drains you to what truly matters, and finding a deeper, smarter form of engagement. It is the difference between caring deeply and caring desperately. One nurtures peace and clarity, the other feeds stress and exhaustion. When you care less in the right way, you stop giving excessive emotional weight to things you cannot change. You learn to love without clinging, to act without being consumed, and to pursue goals without letting fear or obsession control you. It means choosing clarity over chaos. Your attention, energy, and emotions are no longer scattered across every minor problem, every passing opinion, or every imagined scenario. Instead, you invest them in what truly aligns with your values, purpose, and personal growth. Life doesn't become less important. In fact, it becomes more vivid, more meaningful, and more manageable. Caring less allows you to reduce emotional attachment to outcomes that are not in your hands. You begin to see that your happiness does not depend on external validation, perfect conditions, or controlling every situation. When you stop desperately clinging to what might happen, you gain freedom to respond rather than react. You can love someone fully without being consumed by the fear of losing them. You can work toward ambitious goals without letting anxiety over results dominate your mind. You can live in the present instead of constantly worrying about the past or imagining the future. The paradox is powerful. By letting go of unnecessary mental and emotional burdens, you actually care more where it matters. You have more energy for your relationships, more patience for challenges, and more creativity for problem solving. Caring less in the right way is a form of intelligence. It is a conscious choice to invest your life in what is worth it, rather than being drained by what is not. The more selective you become, the more clarity you gain. The less you spread yourself thin, the more depth you experience. Imagine a person walking through life holding a fragile object. If they clutch it tightly, they are tense, distracted, and at risk of breaking it. But if they hold it with gentle care, aware and attentive, their movements are smooth, confident, and deliberate. Life works in the same way. When you care less about unnecessary things, your mind and heart move freely. You can experience the full depth of joy, love, and accomplishment without being trapped by fear, attachment, or exhaustion. Caring less is not the absence of care, it is the presence of wisdom. It is the ability to engage fully with life while preserving your energy, maintaining your peace, and acting with clarity. When you master this balance, life becomes less stressful, more vibrant, and deeply rewarding. You learn to care deeply, wisely, and purposefully, not desperately, not chaotically, and that is a freedom that transforms everything. Lesson 5. Let life move without fighting it. Life has its own rhythm, its own pace, and its own flow. Every day brings changes, challenges, surprises, and moments we cannot control. The natural tendency of the human mind is to resist this flow, to push against what is, to demand that life bend to our plans and expectations. But Buddhism teaches that this resistance is the root of suffering. The harder you fight against the natural movement of life, the more tension you create inside yourself. Every struggle, every moment of impatience, every attempt to force outcomes adds weight to your mind and drains your energy. Imagine trying to stop the waves at the beach. You could jump into the surf, flail your arms, and demand that the water stand still, but the waves will never obey. They will continue to rise and fall, moving with their own unstoppable rhythm. The struggle itself becomes exhausting, painful, and pointless. The same is true with life. You cannot stop events from unfolding, people from acting according to their nature, or circumstances from changing. The only choice you truly have is how you respond to them. When you learn to stand in the waves instead of fighting them, you discover a powerful freedom. You begin to move with life, not against it. Stopping the forceful control does not mean giving up or becoming passive. It means letting go of unnecessary tension and resisting less. When you stop trying to manipulate every outcome, you allow life to align naturally. Opportunities appear, solutions emerge, and relationships deepen, not because you forced them, but because you created space for them to grow. This is the essence of the flow state from a Buddhist perspective: awareness, acceptance, and skillful action without the burden of excessive control. You respond intelligently, but you do not clutch, struggle, or overreact. Resistance creates suffering because it amplifies the friction between reality and your desires. Every delayed email, every unexpected conflict, every minor inconvenience becomes a mountain when you grip tightly and demand life follow your script. But when you release the need to control every detail, even small frustrations lose their power. You find that much of the tension you carried was self-imposed, a product of your insistence on making life a certain way. Learning to let life move without fighting it transforms not only your mind, but your entire experience. You become calmer, more adaptable, and more resilient. You notice the beauty of the present moment, the warmth of sunlight, the subtle rhythm of your breath, the simple joy in ordinary experiences. Life does not have to obey you to be fulfilling. You only need to stand in the waves, flow with them, and act with awareness. By embracing this principle, you stop exhausting yourself on resistance and start living with ease, grace, and inner peace, discovering that true freedom comes not from control, but from harmony with the ever-changing rhythm of life. Lesson 6. Stop reacting to everything. One of the most subtle but destructive habits of the human mind is the constant urge to react. From the moment something occurs, a comment, a criticism, a sudden change in plans, our instinct is to respond immediately, often emotionally, without pause. This reflexive reaction may feel natural, even necessary, but it comes at a high cost. Every unexamined response surrenders a piece of your inner calm and control. When you react to everything, your mind becomes a battlefield, tossed by waves of anger, fear, frustration, or sadness. You lose perspective, clarity, and often energy that could be used more wisely. Reactivity is essentially a loss of control. When you respond instantly to every stimulus, you are letting external events dictate your emotional state and actions. Life, in its unpredictability, will constantly present situations that challenge you. People will behave in ways you do not like, obstacles will appear unexpectedly, and circumstances will often move in directions you cannot control. To react automatically is to hand your power to these forces, giving them control over your inner world. The more you react, the more life feels chaotic, heavy, and overwhelming. The key to breaking this cycle is cultivating an inner pause. This pause is deceptively simple, but incredibly powerful. It is the space between the event and your response, the moment in which you choose how to act instead of simply reacting. In that small gap, freedom emerges. You can observe without absorbing, consider without judgment, and respond without being consumed by emotion. This is the essence of mindful control. You are no longer at the mercy of impulses, but instead respond deliberately, guided by awareness rather than habit. Practically, this begins with something as simple as the breath. When you feel the first stirrings of irritation, anxiety, or defensiveness, pause. Take a deep, slow breath and bring your attention to the present moment. Notice your body, your racing thoughts, the surge of emotion, but do not let them dictate your next move. Observe them as a witness rather than a participant. This small act alone begins to create distance, clarity, and composure. With time, it becomes a habit, a reflex not to react impulsively, but to pause, reflect, and respond intentionally. Another practical step is learning to observe without absorbing. Not everything you encounter is meant for you to carry. The harsh words of another, the unfair criticism, or the chaos of the outside world can all pass by without entering your inner space. You do not need to defend, explain, or take ownership of what is not yours. By consciously choosing to watch without absorbing, you preserve your energy, protect your peace, and maintain clarity in situations that would otherwise overwhelm you. This practice transforms your life in profound ways. People begin to notice your calm presence, even in stressful situations. You stop being pulled into unnecessary conflict, arguments, or emotional turbulence. Decisions become clearer because they are no longer clouded by reactive impulses. Your relationships improve because your responses are thoughtful rather than defensive. And most importantly, your inner life becomes lighter, freer, and more spacious. Stopping the habit of reacting to everything is not about suppression of feelings or becoming numb to life. It is about creating mastery over your mind, reclaiming your power, and learning that true strength lies in the ability to choose your response. When you cultivate this space between event and reaction, you no longer surrender your energy to the uncontrollable. You become the calm at the center of the storm, and from that calm, you act with wisdom, patience, and clarity. Each pause, each breath, each observation builds resilience, self-control, and a profound inner freedom that transforms not only your mind, but the quality of your entire life. Lesson 7. Protect your inner peace like it's your life. Inner peace is not something that comes automatically. It is not a gift that appears when life is convenient or when circumstances are perfect. True peace is cultivated, nurtured, and disciplined. It requires conscious effort every day to create boundaries, choose your mental environment, and decide where your energy goes. Just as you would protect your body from harm, your mind and heart also deserve protection. Your peace is fragile, precious, and profoundly transformative. It shapes your perception of life, your decisions, and your happiness. Yet, most people treat it carelessly, allowing every thought, every opinion, every distraction, and every minor disturbance to enter without consideration. The first step in protecting your inner peace is understanding that not everything deserves your attention or energy. Life constantly presents challenges, opinions, conflicts, and crises. People criticize, complain, or project their insecurities. News cycles bombard you with negativity. Daily interactions pull you in every direction. Without discernment, your mind becomes a dumping ground for stress, worry, and unnecessary drama. You become reactive, anxious, and exhausted. But you have the power to choose. Your mind is a gate, not a garbage collector. You decide what enters and what stays out. This is not about ignoring reality or avoiding responsibility. It is about guarding your mental space so you can engage fully and wisely, without being consumed by what is not yours to carry. Buddhism teaches that the mind is the source of all suffering and also the source of all freedom. A mind left unprotected absorbs chaos, distraction, and stress. A mind protected with awareness creates clarity, calm, and resilience. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you amplify, every situation you dwell on affects the quality of your inner world. When you become conscious of this, you start applying a deliberate filter. Negative conversations, toxic relationships, unproductive worry, and external pressures are no longer automatic entries into your mental space. You pause, observe, and decide whether this deserves your energy. Protecting your peace also means learning the art of mental withdrawal. There will always be situations that you cannot change and people whose behavior you cannot control. In these moments, the greatest act of wisdom is to step back, release, and breathe. Respond only where your presence is meaningful, and let go where it is not. Every time you allow unnecessary disturbances into your mind, you chip away at your calm. Every time you guard it, even in small moments, you strengthen your resilience, clarity, and sense of freedom. Inner peace is a daily discipline, not a one-time achievement. It requires awareness, patience, and persistence. Start by noticing what you consume mentally. Observe your reactions and identify what truly deserves your focus. Stop absorbing what belongs to others. Stop giving energy to what you cannot change. Prioritize your attention for what cultivates growth, joy, and clarity. Over time, this practice transforms your life. You move through challenges without being tossed by them. You interact with people without losing yourself. You experience love, success, and joy without fear or desperation. When you protect your inner peace, everything changes. Stress loses its grip. Decisions become clear. Emotional energy is preserved for what truly matters. You become unshakable not because life is easy, but because you have trained your mind to remain calm amid the storms. You can navigate conflict with grace, approach uncertainty with clarity, and embrace life with presence. Life continues with its unpredictability, yet you move through it with strength, balance, and joy. Ultimately, your inner peace is not optional, it is essential. It is the foundation of happiness, wisdom, and freedom. Guard it as you would your life, because it shapes the life you live. Choose what enters your mind, refuse what drains it, and commit to the discipline of serenity every day. In this practice lies the power to live deeply, act wisely, and experience a profound sense of freedom that nothing external can take away. Your mind is a gate. Protect it. Live from it. Thrive from it. At the end of the day, nothing in your life truly changes until you change what you give your energy to. You can work harder, plan longer, and worry endlessly. Yet if your focus is on the wrong things, your mind remains heavy, tense, and restless. You don't need to fix everything, understand everything, or carry every burden that comes your way. Life itself is not what makes you tired or anxious. What drains you is where you place your attention, what you cling to, and what you insist on controlling. The real power lies in discernment. Learning what deserves your energy and what deserves your silence is a skill that transforms your experience. When you stop feeding the things that don't matter, you create space for calm, clarity, and presence. You discover that the weight you felt for so long was not the world pressing down on you, but your own mind holding tightly to what was never yours to carry. This release is not a sign of weakness or indifference. It is intelligence, courage, and self-respect. So today, not tomorrow, not someday, choose one thing, just one, and let it go. Let go of a worry, a negative thought, a criticism, or a pressure that has no claim on you. Not because it is easy, but because your peace is worth more than temporary discomfort or imagined problems. Every small act of letting go strengthens your mind, liberates your heart, and lightens the load you carry each day. When you do this, even once, you will notice the difference. Your breath feels easier, your mind feels lighter, and your life, even if unchanged externally, feels more spacious, more vibrant, and more yours. Choosing what to care about and what not to is the gateway to freedom, happiness, and inner peace. Make that choice today.